Now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, let's bring in Arise guest analyst Chuks Akuna, the executive director of the Authority newspaper. Mr. Chuks, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's go straight into the newspapers this morning. We'll start off with This Day. At the top of the newspaper, we have Ahmed Lawan, Nigerians hungry in desperate situation. Secondly, we have Tinubu, Obasanjo, Obi, Sani mourn former U.S. President Jimmy Carter. They describe the deceased as a beacon of service to humanity. Just below that, with a very big picture here, we have the NNPC announces commencement of production at Warri Refinery. Mr. Chuks, what jumps out to you the most from these headlines today?
I think it's the NNPC
Absolutely.
story, because it's a New Year package gift for Nigerians. You know, just a little about 3-4 weeks ago, the NNPCL announced the resumption of refining activities in Old Port Harcourt Refinery. So, and at the time, President Tinubu had actually charged the NNPCL GCU, Melekere, to see to other refineries. And, you know, I was shocked, actually, you know, pleasantly surprised when I saw the breaking news yesterday. But, you know, the sad aspect of this story is that in 2017, the NNPC announced the shutdown of the Warri Refinery, and nobody doubted their story at the time.
Right.
But yesterday, the NNPC announced that they had resumed, and they were, in my opinion, truthfully enough to say, at 60% capacity. But I've seen a lot of several innuendos, you know, in some quarters, you know, doubting the veracity of the claims of the NNPC. You know, right. I say, so when they say that they've stopped production, people believe them. When they say they've started production, people still don't believe them. And you ask yourself, what really is going on? But I think it's a very good one for the NNPC. It's very good for Nigeria, you know. And I think the Punch did a story that with Warri Refinery coming on board, you know, there are hopes that petrol will, the price of petrol will further, Nigerians will further see crash to the price of PMS in Nigeria. Okay.
Well, before we go to the Punch, as you have rightfully stated, I'd like to touch a bit on this Ahmed Lawan, Nigerians hungry in desperate situation. We're the ending of a year right now. And I mean, what are your comments on this as a front news headline for the last day of the year?
Yes, Ahmed Lawan, you know, is somebody I know very well. He was, he's been in the National Assembly since 1999. He's been in the National Assembly since 1999. And he's been a very fantastic lawmaker. He rose to become president of the Senate in Nigeria and he's principal officer of the Senate. And sometimes you ask yourself, when you see some of these issues, when you see some of these political bigwigs talk this way, you know, it leaves you wondering what really,
right?
You know, because you know, if you say that, I mean, leaders are supposed to inspire the citizenry. They're supposed to give hope. That's what leaders do all over the world. So if at the end of the year, and Ahmed Lawan is, you know, giving us hopelessness, you know, you wonder what really, because he was in power, you know, for the 8 years Buhari was in power, we didn't see such narratives from people like him.
Right. So
you ask yourself, you know, is there a conspiracy, you know, from a particular section of the country to actually, you know, say some things? A few days ago, it was the governor of Bauchi State, you know, it's very disheartening, I must say.
Yes, that is
it's very bad. You know, on the eve of a new year, you know, leaders should inspire.
Some hope.
Leaders should give, because, you know, without hope, you know, everything, I mean, all over the world, the US, Russia, China, leaders inspire their citizenry.
That's right.
So I don't know where Ahmed Lawan is coming from, but I think because of the Tinubu presidency, it's become a very popular sport, you know, pastime for leaders from particular sections of the country to actually, you know, talk. I mean, you saw the DSS arrested a prominent, self-acclaimed activist, Sheikh Humadi, a few days ago. You know, he went to the extent of bringing videos of things that happened in Mali, Bamako, in 2013, to actually say that French soldiers that had conspired with the French to actually establish military bases in the north.
And the timing of that
exactly.
as well.
So when you see all these things, and this came a few days after the Nigerian president, Nigerian head of state, Jonta, actually. So you ask yourself, you know, is there really a grand plan, you know, to actually destabilize Nigeria at this time? I think our leaders should be measured in there. I mean, we are measured, we journalists, when we come on air. You know, when we write, we are very measured in what we say and what we do.
Absolutely.
So, and I think our political leaders too should take a cue from that and actually, you know, try to work to actually hold Nigeria together at this very, very important time of our lives.
Very well said. Well, let's move on to the Punch. At the top, we have tax bills, PDP others backs Mohammed as presidency knocks government. FG votes 53 billion naira for 103 foreign missions renovation. Tinubu should probe 436 deaths in accidental bombings. And just as we just spoke, Warri Refinery, marketers project price drop as production resumes. Operators foresee stiffer competition among local refineries. Await Kaduna Refinery. Something that jumps out to me at the bottom, but same on the first page of the Punch, is the insecurity. IPOB tackles Soludo, false governor on Kanu's release.
Very interesting.
Absolutely.
I'm from Anambra. I'm from Southeast.
Okay.
I know how this matter is a very sensitive matter.
Absolutely.
You know, and in the heydays of Boko Haram, a lot of us used to complain that several northern leaders were not speaking out enough against the terrorists.
The insurgency, yes.
So the insurgency. So it's also, you know, it has shifted to the southeast, and a lot of people are not speaking out against this. You know, it's an ill wind that's done nobody any good. A few days ago, there was this viral video of a family in a Lexus RX 350. You know, the vehicle was abandoned. I know, actually, the engine was actually steaming, you know, in the forest, you know,
Wow.
somewhere in Imo State or so. And, you know, apparently every member of the family had been kidnapped. So, yeah, it's neither here nor there, but then the IPOB menace in the southeast is something that, you know, people actually, you know, have raised a lot of concerns about. And I'm aware that, you know, I've spoken to persons in power that, okay, what is going to happen about this insecurity in the southeast, particularly with the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu. And what they say is that they're working on it. They're working on it. You know, Tinubu did not jail Nnamdi Kanu, but then Tinubu can release Nnamdi Kanu. I understand that they're working out a plan, because without Nnamdi Kanu's release, in my opinion, you know, there won't be peace in the southeast.
Wow, very strong opinions there.
Yeah, yes.
Moving on to the Daily Trust, we have we have an infographic actually. 2025 budget, 20 MDAs to spend 14.3 billion naira on computers. Justice Ministry's trip, vehicles to gulp 2 billion naira. Experts CSO ask National Assembly to scrutinize proposals. What do you have to say about this? 20 MDAs to spend 14.3 billion naira on computers.
Yes, I saw that story, but I didn't have time to actually really read that story. But, you know, it's becoming a recurring decimal in Nigeria.
Right.
You know, over the years, you know, people, you know, people put in several items on the appropriation, and sometimes they end up not actually buying this. Right. You know, they take these monies, and that's why there's so much corruption in the civil service, because the system has made it very, very easy for them to actually get away with those things. We've seen instances where ministers actually, you know, scrutinize, you know, political office holders actually scrutinize, but you don't see. It's very difficult to actually go down to brass tacks. When I say brass tacks, I mean the civil servants, because the bureaucracy, it's a very interesting one. It's very complicated. So, you know, they're able to actually hide a lot of things. You know, I don't know you know, when you say computers,
the details, yes.
you don't know how many computers, and you do not know what brand of computers, you know, what type of computers they...
And we don't know what they mean. They could also just mean computer software and hardware as well.
And accessories.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But they also spoke about the Justice Ministry, about cars for the Justice Ministry.
Yes.
And this is where President Tinubu
2 billion naira.
President Tinubu should actually come down hard. You know, even though he has not put the fight against corruption in the front burner, but, you know, we've seen a lot of successes recorded by the current administration. You know, the EFCC, the ICPC, I must thumb them up.
Yes.
Doing very, very well.
In recent times, absolutely.
Exactly. So, and since the president is telling us to actually buckle up and, I mean, tighten our belts, you know, he should also lead by example. He should show people in word and in deed that it should not be business as usual. You know, if we're used to buying 100 cars in time past, you know, this is not the time to do so. People are going through very difficult times. You know, we should cut down on
very
cost.
true.
You know.
I
all
also
the way
believe
down.
that it's a bit unfortunate that the everyday person almost expects it to laugh at such figures, which shouldn't be so. To say, oh, here they've come again, they're going to bring these inflated amounts for things that may not actually see the light of day. But let's see what 2025 has to hold with this budget projections. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. On the middle of the page, we have same again, Warri Refinery revs back to life. Tinubu commends NNPCL. On the sidelines of that, we have alleged agreement for 2027 on rotational presidency, deceptive, Kwankwaso. Politics of new vice-chancellor selection at Uni Abuja, and then we have NEC orders transfer of Ogun electricity oversight to OGERC. Do you have any comments to make on this so far? Because it's seeming slightly repetitive at this point.
Yes, but you know, we have to actually, you know, like when as journalists with the watchdog, you know, when people have done badly, we should draw attention to that. And
That's
when
right.
people have done well,
we should commend that.
We should commend them, you know. In 2017, that was when Warri Refinery shut down.
Yes.
Mele Kyari was not the MD at the time, GMD at the time, you know. Ibe Kachukwu was the MD at the time. And from 2017, they had up to 2023 when Buhari exited. That's 4 plus 7 years. So in 7 years, you know, Buhari administration could not fix Warri Refinery, you know, and then Tinubu took over in May last year. And we're having this, you know, it shows willpower. It shows a commitment, you know.
Right.
It shows commitment. And you know, when we criticize the government for not doing well in certain areas, we should also commend them when they've done well. When they do well. And don't forget that a refinery that shut down in 2017, even if you have a car with a mechanic that broke down, that you left in mechanic for 7 years.
Reviving it.
Exactly. So these are some of the issues that we actually have to take into consideration when we're talking about, you know, fixing these refineries.
Yes.
It's a very, 2024, in my opinion,
job.
yes, 2024 has been a very good year for Mele Kyari, you know, very, very eventful year. December 2nd, Port Harcourt Refinery comes on board. December 30th, Warri Refinery comes on board. You know, I think it's a very good one for Mele Kyari, you know, if you ask me.
I believe so.
So, and I think other agencies of government should borrow a leaf from that.
That's right.
It's possible to fix Nigeria. It's possible to fix things that we think, power sector, you know, infrastructure, everything, you know. Because if I mean, this Yuletide period, we seem not to be hearing much from our Minister of Works, David Umahi.
Right.
And this is a time he ought to be beating his chest and said, but I call this road, we fix this, we fix that. But then, look, Mele Kyari is not singing his praises, but then we're saying what he's doing.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Chuks, it seems like you're giving us the hope that was missing in the past headlines. One more for the local news is The Guardian. We have Nigerians in diaspora, from broken dreams to new global value chain. This has a little picture here that's some bit of comic relief about the money that is coming in from abroad. What are your opinions on this?
Yes, I think from statistics, you know, the money has increased.
Yes.
You know, and it's not unexpected, because you see, when people abroad, you know, when people call from outside, you know, it's like, you know, the whole Nigerians are you know, dying of hunger. It's like we you know, so much problems. So a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on our friends and relations abroad to actually for remittances.
Yes.
So sometimes these remittances actually go a long way to solve a lot of problems, you know. But then, you know, it behoves on the country's leadership to actually fix Nigeria so that, you know, we can't continue living on foreign remittances, even though it's a norm all over the world.
Right.
You know, Indians,
yes,
you know, the country, everywhere, everywhere. People rely on foreign foreign remittances. You see, but we can actually fix that. Nigeria is a very large market.
Right.
You know, 200 million plus persons.
Yes, plus,
you know,
plus.
Exactly, you know, agriculture. But, you know, I think that if you notice, you see that insecurity, particularly, you know, kidnappings, you know, violent crimes, has actually dipped, you know, with the new service chiefs, the DSS boss. A few days ago, they reported how they neutralized terrorists in Niger State. So,
yes, that's right.
So that these things, and the more secure Nigerians are or and feel, the more they're able to produce more. The more they're able to go to their farms. During Buhari's regime, the farmers were killed, rice farmers were killed. Buhari blamed them that they didn't get security clearance before going to their farms. So you see, the narrative is changing.
Yes.
Kaduna State, you know, in years past, at this time, killings. But you see that we spent Christmas, we're going to the new year, no such killings in Kaduna State. So it shows you that where there's a will,
there's a way.
There's a way.
Absolutely. Wow, moving on to the international news, we have the Daily Express, and in bold letters, spectacular mistake to open borders. Now, I wonder why this topic is coming up at this point in time, where apparently Tony Blair is being it's being revealed that he gave unrestricted access to EU migrants despite warnings. Now, what was interesting about this story, I just read it a little. I was surprised to see that Africans were not mentioned on the front of this page. Instead, they meant other European countries.
No, it's the UK first.
Yes.
Then Europeans second, then Africans.
Then the rest of the world.
The rest of the world, particularly Africa. That's the way it is. You see, the Bible says...
Because we have a large population.
Yes, the Bible says, love your neighbors as yourself.
As you love yourself.
But the Bible doesn't say love your neighbors more than you love yourself. It's in line with self-preservation. People want to protect themselves, They know that a lot of countries around the world, particularly in the third world, there are migrants who are leaving China and going to the US.
Yes.
Dangerous journey. They pass, there's what they call the Darien Gorge or something like that in Panama, Central America. People risk their lives, they risk life, they risk limb to try to get into America. So what does it show you? And that's why you see a lot of foreign countries, they give aid to the third world. They say, you stay there, don't worry. We'll give you support, but please don't bother coming to our country because you bring your problems.
Right, along with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, moving on to the Daily Telegraph. For this one, I'm just going to read through the headlines for the sake of time. We have PM Knights Khan in reward for failure. That would be an interesting one to discuss. But we also have Blair ignored migrant warnings to open borders. Public sector takes 3 times as many mental health sick days. I believe this was in the news a few days ago as well. Moving from there, we are going to go over to the Sun. If I can just locate it, if they can please bring it up on screen. We have this death of 1D tragedy that we have with Liam. Now we want justice for our Liam. I read the story briefly, and apparently there was some alleged remarks about drugs being involved. This seems like the celebrity story.
Yes, exactly. And in faraway Argentina.
Yes.
He travels from the UK, to Argentina, and it's not just about stars in the UK or elsewhere. Even our stars in Nigeria, they are resort to drugs, to hard drugs, and he fell to have fallen from a 3-story building.
Yes,
third
absolutely.
floor, and it's a tragedy. But you see the way, like they're not talking about his lifestyle.
Yes.
The whole of the UK, in majority of the UK, they're united in the quest for justice. They say they want justice for Liam. Then nobody's talking about the dark side of his life.
That's right.
You understand? But the very interesting story quickly, the national honors, the national honors in the UK.
Yes.
You see the interesting, the curious twist. Khan, the mayor of London, has just secured a 3rd term.
Yes.
The first mayor of London to get a 3rd term. He just got that May.
Yes, knighted.
And then now they want to knight him. And people are protested. They said because of increasing knife attacks in the UK. So it shows you that there's insecurity everywhere. Everywhere. You can't, Americans carry guns.
Yes.
The Brits, they carry knives. You understand?
A violent knife attack.
Yes, you see, and it has spiked, in the UK.
Amongst teenagers as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and here at least there are places you don't travel to. Say, okay, let me avoid the states. Let me not go by road. But there, you are in London. It's everywhere. And somebody,
you never know.
Somebody creeps up behind you and stabs you. You understand? So it shows that all over the world, nobody is safe.
That's
like Central London.
That's
it's a very, very big epidemic. But you see, like on the one hand, you know, he was reelected a few
Yes,
months ago,
yes.
and now they're complaining that he's been rewarded for failure. You know, it shows you that no matter how well you do as a politician, you know, people will always demand more from you. And I think that's a story also for our political leaders here in Nigeria.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Chuks Akuna. That was a wonderful discussion, but unfortunately, that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. It's goodbye from me, Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.